Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a brand new match preview on the channel. Our final game before another international break. And after an absolutely mental week of supporting this club, it's weird. It almost feels like I almost forgot that we had a game of football this weekend, to be completely honest. But yeah, Wolves are on their travels. They go to Stamford Bridge to take on Chelsea. Of course, Wolves, as I speak right now, still without a head coach. It's going to be the under-21s coach James Collins alongside the under-18s coach Richard Walker taking charge for tomorrow's game. So the latest from James Collins' pre-match press conference earlier on. My thoughts going into this game, and of course we will get the Chelsea perspective later on as well. But of course, as I said last week as well, big shout out to one of our subscribers, John, who has a fantastic selection of Wolves quiz books and word searches. Absolutely perfect gift for Christmas coming up. I know there's a lot of Wolves fans out there, especially if you're buying for a dad, an uncle, a granddad. It's so difficult to buy for, but these are the perfect gifts. So learn a lot more about Wolves for all ages, really, young and old. I'll make sure I leave a link in the description if you want to get involved and grab one of those. I know a few of you did based on last week's video as well. But yes, Wolves going to Chelsea in a game that I think a lot of people probably feel it's almost a little bit of a free hit. James Collins in his pre-match press conference disagrees. He said, there's still so many points to play for and Wolves wouldn't just want to waste a football match. And it will be very interesting to see what changes, if any, that he puts forward. He's taken charge from pretty much from Monday onwards. So he's had the full week of training with the team. And of course, like we saw last time after, I think it was when Bruno Lage got sacked, we had quite a bit of a period when Steve Davis and James Collins took charge of the team. And we saw a number of younger players, a number of players from the 21s integrated into the 11 or into the match day squads. Of course, James Collins was asked about that, and in his eyes, Enzo Gonzalez, Mateus Mane and Tawanda Chirewa are ready for more minutes, which to me would probably indicate that obviously they could be part of tomorrow's match day squad. Now, we know that Matt Doherty and Rodrigo Gomez are both out injured. Unfortunately, Rodrigo is going to be out until the new year. Matt Doherty probably another couple of weeks left before he may well be back in full training. Emmanuel Agbadou picked up obviously a suspension after his red card last week. So a couple of places there up for grabs. Will we be seeing the likes of Mateus Mane, Enzo and Chirewa get those chances? I'd be very surprised if all three of them are in the squad, but maybe one or two of them. And we really want to see players like Mateus Mane get minutes. But it was under Steve Davis and James Collins. We saw the likes of Hugo Bueno get their debuts. I think Joe Hodge got some opportunities and potentially played his first Premier League game under that management as well. So chances were given to these younger players, and some of them are taking it. Hugo Bueno now very much a part of the squad again, and I think this will give a really good indication to the younger lads out there to say, look, these young lads who are playing in the 21s and trying their best to make things happen and have stood out in the 21s may well be given a chance in the Premier League. So hopefully this shows that there can be a pathway there, and depending on who the head coach is, if it's going to be Rob Edwards, I'm sure he looked after the Wolves under 21s and 18s for a number of years. I'm sure that he'll look towards that as well and give more opportunities out to that as well. In terms of systems, in terms of tactics, we really don't know what Collins and Walker are going to be setting up with tomorrow at Chelsea, so I really can't give you much of a predicted lineup, to be completely honest. Back five, do they go there just to try and frustrate Chelsea and try and get something out of the game? I think really defensively, we've got to be defensively solid. That's the number one thing. But in personnel, what they see, who they look at to start this game will be very, very interesting. In terms of Rob Edwards, he may or may not be at the game. He missed his Middlesbrough pre-match press conference today. There's a lot of pressure on him. They play Birmingham City tomorrow. So we'll wait and see. I assume sometime this evening we may have some more answers on that. And we may well see him at Stamford Bridge watching the boys tomorrow perhaps. So if he's in time, will he have an influence on how Wolves play and personnel that maybe are given opportunities. Who knows? But Chelsea are a team that have, started very well. They're full of talent. Of course, we only played them just over a week ago in the Carabao Cup, which was an eventful and very chaotic game, which ended 4-3. So we know a lot about them. However, that was a very rotated Chelsea team, as Wolves did rotate as well. So it will be interesting to see who is given the opportunities tomorrow for Wolves. Will Jurgen Strand-Larsen keep his place? Will we see the likes of Tolu come back in? Are Mateus Mane, Enzo Gonzalez and Tawanda Traore were going to be given opportunities? You would assume João Gomez and or Andre will both come back in to the team. Yeah, I'm very, very interested to see what formation, what shape we go with, but we're going into the unknown, really. And although the coaches don't want to describe this as a free hit, this is really for them a chance to show what they can do, what have they worked on this week, and hopefully as a fan's point of view, the players can, number one, show that they've got the quality to compete and give us a fighting chance of potentially staying in this division. But number two, if a head coach does arrive within the next 24 hours or so, they're playing for their place in the football team as well. So a long way to go, but let's wait and see. So it was great as well to catch up with Charlie from the Blue Brother YouTube channel earlier on this week to get the latest on Chelsea, how their season's going so far, and his thoughts going into this game. So then, guys, I'm delighted to be alongside Charlie once again for the opposition perspective ahead of Wolves' trip to Stamford Bridge this weekend. Charlie, thanks for jumping on again. How you been keeping?
No, always a pleasure to come on, mate. Yeah, not bad, really. Obviously, disappointing result against Karabag in the Champions League, but we go again.
Yeah, no problem. And it was obviously we've only played you guys. I think it was just over a week ago in the Carabao Cup. Chaotic and eventful game. I know you made the trip to Molineux, so you know a little bit about what Wolves are up to so far this season. But talk to me a little bit about Chelsea, sat 7th in the Premier League right now, a mixed start to the campaign. I suppose you're only 2 points off second place Manchester City, but what's been your take on the season so far?
Yeah, mate, it's been tricky. I mean, it has been a mixed start, as you say. But given the fixtures that we've had, given the fact that really Liverpool and Tottenham are the only kind of top sides, well, big, quote unquote, big sides that we faced this season, to be in the position we're in is a little bit disappointing. We should have had more wins on the board. Poor disciplines let us down. So many red cards.
Yeah.
Which has cost us definitely against Man United and cost us against Brighton. And yeah, just poor defensive mistakes. I mean, you look at a lot of the goals that we've conceded this season, it's not through teams, carving through us or getting the better of us. It's purely from the fact, A, we're making individual mistakes, and B, we simply cannot deal with long throw-ins or balls into the box. So yeah, I would say it's been disappointing because arguably, and I know all teams can say, oh, if this happened, if that happened, but we should be second, and arguably we should be maybe joint top with Arsenal, given the points that we've chucked away and in the manner we've chucked those points away. So I just think the lack of consistency is a huge issue.
Yeah, I mean, what's your take on Enzo Maresca as well? Like I said, mixed start in the league, but a huge win in the summer, obviously with the Club World Cup. Has he got quite a bit of credit in the bank at the moment, or is there certain portions of the fan base thinking, Chelsea should be in a much better place right now?
Oh, look, there's always the doubters within the fan base. There's always sections of fan bases that have made their mind up on a player or a manager, and regardless of what happens, that they're not good enough in their view. Maresca did well last season, brilliant season in terms of the remit of what he needed to do, get us back in the Champions League, and he managed to pick up 2 trophies. So you couldn't ask for much more. I actually think he's started the season reasonably well. It's not his fault that players are making poor decisions on the pitch, getting themselves sent off. It's not his fault that players can't do basic defending. He's got a few things wrong. Yep, certain team selections, etc. A lot of rotation. The last 5 games, we've made 7 changes. I think we've made the most changes in the Premier League this season. I think we made 85 changes this season to starting lineups after 10 games. And look, I understand from a certain point of view, it's the Club World Cup. We want to protect players, we want to manage minutes, manage the workloads and whatnot. But I think that is potentially having a bit of an issue with us struggling to build some consistency. Particularly, I don't mind rotation in the attack or in midfield necessarily or at fullback, but when we're changing our centre-back pairing pretty much every game. Every other week we're having a lot of defensive issues, and I don't think that's a surprise at all. So, yes, he's done a good job so far. There are people on his back. There are people that think he's not good enough. He should be doing better. The team should be doing better, but there is context and circumstances to some of it as well.
Yeah, I think that's key as well. I think, like I say, it's still so early in the season. One result and it could completely change how the top end of that table looks like as well. So a long way to go. And I think the quality in the Chelsea team at the moment, I mentioned on the video we did on your channel, just the quality off the bench as well. I think we had a conversation maybe last year or the year before in terms of the amount of talent and the sort of future proofing that Chelsea have done as well, which I'm sure at times can look quite exciting. But for you, who are the players that are standing out at the moment? I know obviously you got Pedro Neto, former Wolves boy, in there. He looks like he's finding some of his best form once again. Has he had a good start to the season? Is there anyone else that we need to be looking out for on Saturday?
I mean, in terms of guys that have really stood out, I mean, Moises Caicedo is the obvious one. He's been absolutely outstanding, not just the start of this season, but certainly for like at least the last year, really. And now he's finally kind of, I feel, getting the recognition from the wider footballing community, wider sort of media in general, of actually how good he is. He'd be an obvious one. Esteval's been superb for us, the young Brazilian kid that come in. We didn't sign him this summer. We signed him the summer before, but obviously he couldn't join until he was 18. He's been brilliant. He's our joint top scorer with 4 goals. He plays with a directness. He's fearless. No, it doesn't feel the pressure. Just a real breath of fresh air, but he's being managed quite carefully. So given the fact he played 90 minutes against Karabag on Wednesday night, I'd be very, very surprised if he started this game, which is a real shame, really. In regards to Pedro Neto, he's been a bit of a slow burner. He's one that I don't say he divides opinion, but he does a little bit, not in terms of his quality, but in terms of, this guy is a starting winger for a massive football club. There's not enough output from him. I'm not sure if it was maybe a similar situation at Wolves. I know he got quite a few assists, but he's never really been much of a goal scorer in his career. He had a very good tournament at the Club World Cup. He was one of our best players for sure in that tournament. But, there's that sense of, you just need a bit more from him. Off the ball, his defensive work rate is good, and I think that's part of the reason why he's in the team. But there's just a bit of a sense of frustration that if you're going to be a starting winger, which you are, the senior winger in the squad, we need a bit more output from you. If you're a rotation option, what he's doing now is fine, but he's not. He's a starter, so we just need to see a bit more output from him. But look, he's a good player, and I do like him a lot, but he's got to contribute a bit more.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there in terms of assists and things like that. Very, very good. But his composure in front of goal sometimes is. I remember at Wolves as being, I could probably pick out 3 or 4 moments where you would class it as a clear-cut chance, and for whatever reason he didn't take that opportunity. But yeah, I mean, the main thing for you is that he's staying fit. We really struggle to have a consistently fit Pedro Neto. But no, it's huge for you. 2 areas that have always been or seem to have been a concern for Chelsea over the last couple of years. Goalkeeper is one. And the forward line as well. I know Liam Delap has sort of had injury, and then he got sent off against us last week. Talk about the striker situation. Who's the starting number 9 for you at the moment? Are you happy with the strength that you got there at the minute?
I'll be honest, mate. I'm not happy with the options at number 9. I just don't think they're good enough right now. Joao Pedro, who I think is a fabulous player, but he's one of them where it's another one like a sort of Nkunku to a degree where I don't really know what he is, because he's not an out and out number 9. He's more like a 9.5. I think he plays best as a 10 playing off a striker. Obviously, when he had Cole Palmer behind him at the Club World Cup, he looks good. When Palmer was behind him at the start of the season, first couple of games, he looks decent. So for me, for Pedro to work as a 9, you've got to have someone of the level of Cole Palmer behind him to create those opportunities for him. Otherwise, it's Liam Delap, who I like him, by the way, but after one season at Ipswich, where admittedly he done well, he scored, I think, 12 goals in the league, but then suddenly Chelsea's main number 9. Like that, he should be, again, no disrespect to Delap, he should be a rotation choice. There should be a top quality striker that Delap is learning from and rotating with. Instead, he's the main guy. And I just feel that, again, I just don't think we've got the goals at the top end of the pitch to be serious, really.
And then the goalkeeper situation as well. It always seems like Chelsea last year were chopping and changing. I think the year before as well, there were 2 or 3 goalkeepers in the frame. Sanchez nailed down that number 1 spot at the minute, it seems. What's your take on him?
Look, my take on him is well documented. I don't think he's good enough. However, what I would say is that this season, bar the sending off against Man United, he's actually been good. He's not been a problem. His shot stopping's never really been that much of an issue. He's always been a pretty good shot stopper. He commands the box well. He was excellent against Tottenham in that very aspect. The issue with him is always you're just waiting for a big mistake to happen. You're just waiting for
He's
it
a
because
bit
you know it's
erratic at
coming.
times, isn't he?
Yeah, he's and this is it though, mate. Like he's not a young goalkeeper. This is someone that's like 27 going on 28. This is, I get it. All players make mistakes, but he shouldn't be making the level of mistakes that he's making. But I will defend him. He has improved, and this season, outside the red card, as I said, he's actually not been an issue for us.
Yeah, because I was it Jorgensen that played last week. He was
Mate,
all
he
over the
was
shop, wasn't he?
awful. Mate, he
Yeah.
was all over the shop, and he was exactly the same against Lincoln. He was awful there as well. Honestly, mate, he's a dreadful signing. Terrible.
Yeah. No, you got look at Petrovic is doing okay, isn't he? At Bournemouth, I think. Obviously, you let him go. Kepa had an okay spell at Bournemouth as well last year. So I think Sanchez was okay at Brighton, wasn't he? But I think he had clangers in him there as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, suppose give him a decent run in the team without chopping and changing him, and like you said, hopefully a bit of consistency there. Flipping it over to Wolves, obviously you've seen what's been going on at the club at the moment. We're going to be managerless going into this game, more than likely. Anyone that, despite our slow start, anyone that you still got an eye on going into Saturday, just in case?
Man, I really like Strand Larson. I know, like he's kind of the obvious one. Obviously Mateus Cunha's gone now, but Strand Larson I think is a really good player. Obviously managed to keep hold of him with Newcastle sniffing about in the summer. I think inevitably, I'm sure all Wolves fans are aware that this is probably his last season at the club. Even if you do stay up, I'd be surprised if he was still there next season. I really like him. I think he's a handful. He's physical. He's good in the air. He's a good finisher. Other than that, mate, I'll be honest, there's not really much else there. I was a fan of Arias. I thought he was good at the Club World Cup, but we done a video and you said he's been really disappointing. So outside of that, mate, there's not really an awful lot to go off. I mean, I know Joao Gomez and Andre in midfield are half decent players, but you're kind of feeding off scraps in terms of who's been decent for Wolves this season.
Yeah, we have had a slow start. I'm hoping, we had a conversation about Arias on your channel. I'm hoping that he turns up and we see a completely different player at Stamford Bridge on Saturday, but who knows? And to finish off, Charlie, I mean, I'm sure Chelsea fans are going into this one hoping to bounce back, especially after a disappointing result in the Champions League. What's your take and what's your score prediction going into this one?
Yeah, mate, it's tricky, right? Because as a Chelsea fan, you shouldn't really be worrying about playing a side who's bottom of the table and won no games out of 10. But these are exactly the sort of games where our inconsistencies strike, in terms of against the teams that we are underdogs or not fancied against, we raise our level of performance and we often pull off results that maybe people don't expect. But when we go and play teams that we're favourites for, games that we should be winning, they're the games that we're dropping points in. We didn't beat Brentford, we didn't beat Brighton, we didn't beat United, we didn't beat Sunderland, we didn't beat Karabakh. These are all games already this season that Chelsea should have been winning, and yet we haven't won any of them. So look, I don't want to sit here and say that I'm worried as a Chelsea fan, but there is a little bit element of concern that you're kind of maybe getting a little bit of the unknown with Wolves. This is not Vitor Pereira's side that's coming in. This is a team that obviously got no manager. They'll want to impress whoever the next manager coming in is going to be. And this is almost like a free hit for them, almost like a bit of an audition. And I feel like teams could potentially be quite dangerous in that situation. But I still think we'll have enough. I'll go for a 3-1 Chelsea win. But I think, potentially you could maybe cause us some issues, certainly from long throw-ins and balls into the box and whatnot.
We have tried those long throw-ins, but we're not very good at them, I don't think. So, I mean, you would have seen it last week. I think we tried it. And for whatever reason, our players just can't seem to throw it.
I'm pretty sure we conceded from one though.
I think so. I think you alluded to it on the video that we did earlier. Wolves have got a good. I don't think the throwing itself is very good, but we've got a good knack of just keeping the ball alive and we don't let it die. And then that's when I think Moller Wolf on the left scored twice just because we kept it alive and he sort of nicked in. So Let's hope so. I mean, I really hope I'm proved wrong on Saturday and we caused you some problems from those, because I know Chelsea earlier on this season have had a few issues from them anyway. But Charlie, thank you very much for jumping on again. Where can people find you and your content if they wish?
Thanks for having me as always, mate. Yeah, guys can check me out at Blue Brother CFC. Just all usual stuff. I've done a preview of day for the game as well. And yeah, all the usual content, reviews, reactions, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, feel free to check that out, guys.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'll make sure I leave a link to it in the description down below. And after Saturday, Charlie, all the best for the rest of the season. I'll see you soon.
No, you too, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. So big thanks to Charlie once again. I'll make sure I leave a link to him in the top of the description down below, so you guys can go and check out his channel if you wish. And yeah, let me know your thoughts and score predictions if there is any major updates in regards to a new head coach. I will let you know in the we're uploading videos hopefully tonight, or whether it will be tomorrow morning. I don't know. We'll see. But as always, hit the like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all very, very soon.